You're listening to Building the Broncos with Nick Kendell and Carl Dumler, Broncos country's leading draft and scouting analysts. Get on over to milehighhuddle.com to sound off on all things Broncos.
Hello there, Broncos country, and it is once again time for another episode of Building the Broncos. I'm your host, Carl Dumler, and with me, as always, I have my co-host and good friend, Mr. Nick Kendell. Nick, how are you doing out there, buddy?
Hey, doing pretty well. A little tired today. Been starting that 5 a.m. grind, running, trying to lose the weight for the wedding, but doing pretty well. Can't complain. I'm trying to get by these trying times without real news in football.
It is. It's quite the challenge these days.
Yeah.
You're hoping for anything and everything, but at the same time, you hope for nothing because most of the time, the news right now is not good.
Yeah, if you get something new right now, it means somebody is probably injured or maybe a DUI or something worse. So, yeah, nope, it's the no news time, but we're going to keep coming at you guys to give you as much as we got.
Exactly. And so we also want to make sure that you can find us on Twitter because anything we get, we'll send your way. So you can find me at Carl Dumler MHH and, of course, Nick at Nick Kendell MHH. And you can follow the podcast Twitter account at BTB Football Pod and make sure you subscribe to our show and leave us a rating as we value your input. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and even that of YouTube. Also, make sure you head over to Mile High Huddle, an affiliate of 24/7 Sports and the CBS Sports Digital, to find ours and our co-writers' articles and all things pertaining to your Denver Broncos. Also, if you enjoy our show, make sure you head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating where Building the Broncos, along with Huddle Up, are found under the Huddle Up podcast. This podcast is powered by Overtime Media. Well, with it being the offseason, like you said, we're taking on a few different subjects and just kind of looking at especially the AFC West and what the Broncos have to tend with and where they're going to be fighting. But we thought we'd do an all AFC West roster and just kind of see which teams have the best strength. And it's kind of funny because I look at this roster and, of course, worst team in the division, the Raiders, have very few players that make our roster here today. So that's a nice thing and something that's worth listening to just to be able to make fun of the Raiders themselves. But we're going to start off at the most key position. And this guy, it's kind of crazy. 1 year of starting, and he's already made it as the top quarterback in the division, Patrick Mahomes. Why are you willing to put him here instead of, say, a Phillip Rivers or Derek Carr? I mean, I'd add Joe Flacco, but I think he's probably fourth on both of our lists of quarterbacks in the division, right?
It'd be close with him and Carr, but yeah.
Right. But I mean, yeah, really it's between Rivers and Mahomes. But why do you have Mahomes here after 1 year?
I mean, the league MVP. Like, it's hard not to go with that guy coming off one of the best. No, I keep saying that. The best ever first year starting for a quarterback. So, I mean, the tools are incredible. He has arm talent. He has the ability to escape the pocket. Just like it's almost like a hyped up version of Russell Wilson as far as his tools go, and a young Brett Favre. And the thing is, that's even crazier is that he's taking care of the football. We'll see if that continues. But right now, I mean, there's not a player in the NFL that a team would take in a league-wide redraft, right? Like he's the first overall pick 99 times out of 100, given his age, the upside, the personality even. And he's just an emerging superstar, which is unfortunate because, Kansas City is a big rival and their fan base is quickly becoming majorly irritating to me. But a lot of that has to do with, it's probably a vocal minority, but the whole Tyreek Hill situation is bringing out some of the worst of the worst. And the tribalism there is unfortunate. I'd like to think if the shoe were on the other foot, the Broncos would suspend him indefinitely and not play him. That's who knows. But I'd like to think that I wouldn't be so blinded by the support of my team to not condemn that. But back to Patrick Mahomes, supremely talented, and just coming off that season that he just had, it's how could you not go with him, right? Like Rivers probably going to the Hall of Fame. Really great quarterback. Never had a season like that, and older. Like Patrick Mahomes, reasonably the best is yet to come. And that's crazy to say.
Yeah.
So got to be quarterback one.
I'm with you. I mean, we both have him here. It just the guy was just unbelievable. Some of the things that he did, especially against the Broncos, just irritates you to no end. That left-handed pass will always stick out in my mind as one of those. I mean, it's kind of like for Chiefs fans when Jamal Charles fumbled. That's kind of probably how we feel about Patrick Mahomes getting sacked and throws it left-handed for a first down. And it just, he does things that there's just not very many other quarterbacks in the league can do. And he's creative. He's got an arm it's just a crazy cannon, all those kind of things. And it's tough not to like him, actually, which makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah.
But just looks like the Chiefs found their guy for the next, unfortunately, probably 10, 15, maybe 20 years.
Yep.
And we'll have to put up with it. So it is what it is. Hopefully Drew Lock can emerge and they can have that great rivalry that you always hope for. But, we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, indeed. But definitely quarterback one.
All right. Well, now looking at the running back position, this is our first disagreement. And Bronco fans are going to love you a lot more than me. You have Phillip Lindsay. I have Melvin Gordon here. What makes you have Phillip Lindsay again after 1 year over that of Melvin Gordon?
Because he has not had the number of injuries that Gordon has had, and also has done a better job protecting the football than Gordon has. I could have gone either way, but I was going to be – I figured you would go with Gordon since you're a fan of his game, and I wanted to be a little contrarian there in that regard. And Lindsay, I mean, great year last year. Granted, the Broncos' run blocking was pretty good, but emerging as a stud, and I think most people would take Melvin Gordon, but if I was a voter in this thing, I'd cast a vote for Lindsay just because he had that good of a season and is an emerging player, and I'm going to lean with the younger guy that wasn't a first-round pick in that regard. Definitely, again, I'm not looking to pay running backs, so give me the cheaper guy that was drafted later. One game, maybe I'd probably take Gordon, but again, wanted to be contrarian and just bringing it back to Lindsay specifically. Good to see that he appears to be on track to be 100%, maybe even preseason week 1, but he's starting to work out using that arm, the hand, the wrist that was injured in the Oakland game. So on track. So that's great.
Nice to hear that the cast has come off and that he's actually doing some carries with the ball in that hand.
Yeah, we just need to see him. The biggest thing is he's got to emerge as a better pass weapon.
Right. And I guess that's, again, why I pick Gordon over Phillip Lindsay.
That's fair.
Gordon just is a very nice receiving weapon there for Phillip Rivers. And I thought had probably his best rushing attack this last year. I mean, like I said, the injuries are a concern. Has only had one season where he played all 16 games. But, I mean, every year pretty much except for his rookie year, he's been on pace for 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's become a lot more of a touchdown machine, especially these last 3 years. 10 touchdowns in 2016 and only 11 games. Or he played in 13, but only started 11. 8 touchdowns in 2017, 10 touchdowns again this last year, and only 12 games. So, I mean, when he's averaging almost a touchdown a game, that's some pretty good, nice stats that he's putting up there for their team. And so I have him over him. Like you said, I'm probably a bigger fan than most people of Gordon. And I think it's a little bit because I've made the mistake of sitting there saying, I'm not going to take him in fantasy football. And all of a sudden, then he's the guy that comes out and beats me every single year. So I guess I'm finally coming around. And now he's probably going to be gone and injured and all those kind of things. The year I take him, he's probably going to miss the entire year. So Bronco fans, maybe I should, every fantasy draft that I have, take Melvin Gordon just for you guys.
Yeah, he's definitely one. I'm curious to see what happens when it comes time to pay him, right? Like he's due they didn't re-sign him yet.
Right.
So
right. They just picked up his 5th-year option, but they haven't signed him to long-term.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't hate drafting a running back in the first round if you are in that window and you have a quarterback that is, I mean, again, Rivers' career pretty much coinciding with the end of this Gordon first contract. So I don't hate that, but again, don't love it. So I have no issue with Gordon here. I just, again, wanted to be a little contrarian and wanted to give a shout out to a Bronco.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, if you pick Gordon, I was actually going to go Philip Lindsay
there you go.
To make sure he got a little bit of a shout out, because he did have, I mean, when you're talking about being the first undrafted rookie running back to make the Pro Bowl ever, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's pretty special. Good kid too.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, wide receivers now. I put down 3 just because that's the NFL era we're in today.
And I mean, it's hard to disagree with your 3. You have Antonio Brown, been top 3 receiver mostly for the last 5-7 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how he does. We talked about this in our last episode of how he does mixing with Derek Carr, but still great receiver. Keenan Allen, been one of the top receivers when healthy, one of the best route runners, if not the best route runner in all of football. Tyreek Hill, one of the biggest weapons, if not the biggest weapon in football. I hate having him on here because I just hate his name right now.
Yeah.
And you already said it. I mean, how Chief fans have really defended this guy when it's just, how can you defend a guy like this?
Like the best, even if you want to be, wait for the due process of the law and everything, bite your tongue.
Right.
Right. Like, it's just like, it's such a bad look. It's grotesque.
Right.
It's literally just sickening. So, and again, if this was like a first time offense, came out of left field, never heard anything like this. Like if something like this came out with Justin Simmons and, always been a role model citizen, be like, okay, that doesn't seem in character. Let's kind of wait for this, but it's a pattern, right? Like this is multiple times now where you've had incidences like this. So yeah, not great. Let's say Tyreek Hill suspended for the year. Who's that next wide receiver? Since the top 3 are pretty much consensus: Keenan Allen, Antonio Brown, and Tyreek Hill.
Dang it, I was going to ask you that same question.
Sorry, man. Beat you to it.
You did. Well, I mean, if healthy, Emmanuel Sanders. But, I mean, how healthy can a guy coming off an Achilles injury in his 30s really be?
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at that next guy on my list, I might take a chance and go with Courtland Sutton.
Not Watkins?
He's injured too much.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, yeah, when he's healthy, he can be a playmaker. But even when he's been healthy, he's been very up and down in his career.
Yeah.
So I can't put him over a more emerging player like Courtland Sutton, who I think could have a really, really strong season this year.
That's fair. just to tick you off, I'll take Mike Williams. Just because I think he complements him better. And I think he's in for a breakout season. I really do. I think that he's got a chance to have a pretty darn good year. Chance for the volumes there and everything like that. So we'll see. And now tight ends, though, moving on. Tight end number 1, I think this is probably the easiest pick, arguably the best tight end in football. Now that Gronk's retired, Travis Kelce, not the athlete that like a Noah Fant would be, not the blocker that Virgil Green or Gronk even is, but overall, I mean, the skill set that he has, the explosiveness from the tight end position as well, the ability to him to threaten all levels while being a good inline player. I mean, it's impossible not to go with Travis Kelce as the best tight end.
I'm with you. I mean, yeah, we're both going to be in agreement on that. And then tight end number 2, we're both in agreement on this as well. Hunter Henry, if healthy, it's hard to argue. He was one of those guys that was just looking like he's going to emerge as a top 10 tight end in football. And, of course, got injured, big injury for the Chargers last year. And but I expect him to bounce back and be right there. Where would you rank Noah Fant right now?
Ungraded, right? Like
okay.
we got to see it.
Right.
But, I mean, he's got a chance to be the second best tight end in this division. Right? Like is he even tight end 1 for the Broncos though? I mean,
that's true.
It's I gotta wait and see. But at the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's battling with Hunter Henry for that second spot. And if we're actually building a team, he might make more sense with Travis Kelce because he's that athlete that can kind of flex out to be big slot as well, more so than Henry. But it's too early to say. I need to see how he transitions to the NFL, but definitely, obviously, first round pick, but a first round pick at
right.
tight end. special ability.
Right. I almost thought about putting him here as tight end too, just because Hunter Henry, I mean, as great as he's been, I still don't think he has the ceiling of a Noah Fant. Like you said, if we're building a roster and saying these are the guys that we're willing to take some chances on and to really maximize this entire roster, that would be one place where I'd say, yep, I want Noah Fant over Hunter Henry.
Yeah, I could get that. And then coming off the injury as well with Henry. So you just got to go with him right now. You know, we try not to be homers here, and he has got a chance to be a pretty darn good tight end, but got to wait and see. I really tried not to have rookies on this list if I could help it. But honestly, there's some spots where in the division, obviously there's some areas that's super strong. There's some areas though, it's like, man, is this the options to pick from?
I know you gave me your list first, obviously. And so then I looked over it and I said, come on, really? That's the top guy at that spot? And then I looked through all the rosters. I'm like, because I kept thinking we had to have forgotten somebody.
Right.
And then you're going, oh my gosh, this is that bad in the entire division.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I look at the offensive line as a good spot to kind of venture into that.
Yeah.
There's some good players. Mitchell Schwartz at right tackle, probably top 3 right tackle in football right now, maybe top 2.
And that's crazy because the 2 highest paid right tackles in football are not Mitchell Schwartz, but they're in this division.
Yep.
I guess that's a testament to the Joey Bosa Von Miller effect.
Yep.
Right? Like you got Trent Brown, you got Derwin James, you got Chargers is bad. I think they still got Barksdale there at right tackle, but then you got Schwartz, and Schwartz has just been so good. I got to go with him, but it could be Brown or Derwin James, but Schwartz right tackle. I'm glad we could be consensus there.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the few guys you've actually seen shut down Von Miller.
Yeah,
consistently. I mean, it's not just that he does it for half a game; he does it for pretty much the entire game. That's one matchup that Von Miller just really can't seem to win on a regular basis.
Yeah, and
so I mean that's a huge check mark for Mitchell Schwartz there. And then left tackle, we're both in agreement here as well. Russell Okung, but is that more of an indictment on how bad the left tackle spot is? I mean, he's a good player, but he's not elite by any means.
He's been pretty good with the Chargers. His 1 year in Denver did have some holding, but I mean, Trevor Siemian had one of the worst pocket movement seasons I've ever seen from a quarterback. So that did not help him at all. And also you could have a fantastic left tackle if he's doesn't have other guys. Teams can scheme around him. I mean, again, I always use this example, but Joe Thomas, one of the best offensive linemen I've seen in my lifetime. And the Browns teams that he played for were absolute trash constantly.
Right.
So that one offensive lineman can only do so much. So I mean, the other options here, you got Colton Miller. Absolutely not. You got Eric Fisher. You know, he's okay, but Russell Okung is much better. Like, I don't think he's much better.
Although, I mean, and I know I don't want to read too much into this just because it's the Pro Bowl, but he did make the Pro Bowl last year.
Okay. Well, good for him. First overall pick too at some point, but I think Russell Okung is the much more talented, versatile, as far as pass and run game tackle. So I was one of the few I feel like that was for the Broncos retaining Russell Okung services because I felt like he had the flashes and the ability still to, and obviously tackle was hard to find. I didn't want to be forced to take a tackle round 1 in that draft, which they did end up doing. But I think left tackle, he's definitely the guy. Right. In this division.
No, I'm with you there. And then I was shocked when I saw this one from you because, like you said, you don't want to put very many rookies in here. But then you look at the rest of the division, and it makes complete sense. Left guard, Dalton Reisner for the Broncos.
Yeah.
And this, again, it's just more of a testament to the lack of players at this position from others. You got Dan Feeney for the Chargers.
He looked bad. He looked bad. I liked him coming out. And then what happened to your boy Forrest Lamp, man? What the hell? I don't know. He's been hurt, and he's just never really done anything getting healthy. I don't know. It's bad. But then for the Chiefs, you got Cameron Irving. Not great. For the Raiders, Richie Incognito. Not great.
So again, I mean, if we're building a team and saying this is we're trying for the top team possible, Dalton Risner might really be the best left guard in the AFC West right now, even as a rookie.
And there was an argument, I guess, to be had that if we were moving a guard around, but I didn't want to do that. It's like if I could get 2 right guards, I probably would come out with a different set here. But as far as pure left guards go, listed on the depth charts currently, it's Risner. It really is. So.
And then that brings us to center and Rodney Hudson. And I mean, probably one of the best pass blocking centers in all of football.
Yeah.
But it's also a little bit of a testament to the rest of the division's not elite by any means. I mean, you got Mike Pouncey.
He's good.
He's good. He's just been injured a lot.
Yeah, he was better.
And then the Chiefs, Austin Reeder.
Yeah, who?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I Rodney Hudson. I mean, that's a good pick. That's a good player there.
Yeah, he's a really good center. Has been for a bit. You know, the end is probably coming up for him at some point. But yeah, he's. I think that's pretty easily consensus.
Yep. And then for right guard, this is our one disagreement on the offensive line. You have Laurent Duvernay-Tardif of the Chiefs. I
MD.
have what?
MD,
yes. Sorry, I should include that. I have Gabe Jackson of the Raiders.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit – I just have Gabe Jackson just ranked a little higher.
Yeah. That's fair. I feel like Gabe Jackson, he's been solid for the Raiders, but after that first big contract he got, been inconsistent, not as good of a pass blocker. And you had Laurent Duvernay-Tardif had that injury. But, I mean, before that injury, he was looking really good at that guard position. And I think he's more versatile in terms of what scheme he can play for and a better pass blocker. That said, if we were going, we could move these guards around, I think I'd move LDT, easier way to call him, over to left guard and keep Jackson at right guard. But yep. I think, he's really underrated. He's a darn good right guard.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't disagree. I had him, like I said, I just had him just a little below Gabe Jackson. And I think, like you said, Gabe Jackson hasn't really played the same since their offensive line has gone downhill.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's more of just a testament to the players around him, making him have to do so much more.
Probable. I mean, it takes a unit.
It does. It really does.
So, and I think they have Cable as the offensive line coach now, which not great. So, all right. Well, we're going to take a break. We've done covering the offense here, but we got to talk some defense. So we'll be right back.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
All righty, and we are back on the Building the Broncos podcast. I am Nick Kendell along with Carl Dumler, and we are talking about our All AFC West team. Talking a little Broncos here, but also talking some divisional rivals and just touching on the guys that we think are the special players in this division right now. And we got to start with one of my favorite positions here, or continue with one of my favorite positions here, the defensive line, the interior defensive line. And I guess I'll start with the most obvious guy here, the most talented interior defensive lineman in the division, holding out right now for a new contract, rightfully so, Chris Jones. Man, what a great player. And I saw Pro Football Focus had a stat release today, which, I like their stats, don't always love the grades, but Chris Jones had the highest rate of do-it-yourself tackles of any interior defensive lineman in the NFL. He didn't have hardly any cleanup sacks. He didn't have any sacks where the offensive lineman or defensive edge player kind of pushed the quarterback around and then fed him into Chris Jones. So Chris Jones, again, I've always been a big fan of his game. It's unfortunate they went to the Chiefs, but top 5 interior defensive lineman right now, and he deserves to get absolutely just a massive, juicy contract.
I remember you tweeted him once.
Yeah, gosh darn
it. Come to the Broncos, and he's like, I'm good.
Nah, fam, I'm good. All right, well, just kick me in the groin, why don't you?
That was one of my favorite comebacks.
Oh, man,
Although, it does hurt that he wants to stay with the Chiefs. But, no, that's the easiest pick here on the defensive line. It is a little bit of a a down unit.
It really is. The interior defensive line, it is, at least.
Yeah, I mean, again, when I was looking at this and the players you put, I'm kind of going, really? I mean, you have a guy that wasn't even a starter last year, and Shelby Harris on your list.
Yeah.
But I'm having trouble finding the only guy that I was kind of thinking I'd maybe take over him, Jerry Tillery, but he's a rookie.
Yeah, I can't take him. I couldn't do a rookie over him. I was between him and Derek Wolfe, and I'm like, well, I'm going to take the pass rusher. Obviously, we talked about that last week, so
right.
I leaned with him. But yeah, it's not great as far as the interior defensive line goes. I mean, other options: Brandon Meebane's solid, Jerry Tillery solid. Yeah, you got Xavier Williams, maybe Keelan Saunders, the 3rd round pick for the Chiefs. Like, definitely not going with him. Yeah. And then Mo Hurst. Mo Hurst could have been picked, but I went with somebody else. And Shelby Harris was better than Maurice Hurst was last year. Jonathan Hankins was better than him. So, yeah, the interior defensive line in the AFC West, outside of Chris Jones, it's a lot of just a lot of meh.
Yeah, I almost thought about cheating and putting Frank Clark.
I couldn't do that.
Just moving him inside because he is that strong guy. But, yeah. I mean, it is. That's a little bit of cheating because he's not big enough to really hold up on the inside for a regular basis. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the third guy, we had 3. Honestly, I've almost debated only having 2 interior defensive linemen because this one I had a hard time with this one. I went Derek Nottie just because I feel like I was going for a true nose tackle type here, and I guess you go with Brandon Meebane, but I think Nottie was pretty good for the Chiefs last year in that role. He's a real fire hydrant plug type of guy, and I could have made an argument, if we're actually like going to the accolades, I probably would have put Derek Wolfe there, but then I'd have absolutely no 0-1 tech type on the team, so I went with a 0-1 tech there. But yeah, it's Chris Jones and everyone else.
Any thought about Jonathan Hankins?
I think Nottie's better.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe Hankins. I'm a fan of Nottie's game, and I thought he was pretty darn good last year for a rookie. So, went with Nottie.
Right. No, I understand. I mean, it'd be a toss-up for me between those two for that nose tackle spot. Just you have a little bit more proven with Jonathan Hankins, but even there, it's not been proven well.
Yeah.
And Nottie has a lot more higher upside. So, yeah, if I was building a roster, I would definitely take him for that nose tackle spot over Hankins. Yeah. And then we get to so you go from a position like that where you're struggling to find guys that you'd sit there and say are quality starters to then the edge position. And you have a plethora of players to pick from that you could sit there and make an argument for. Of course, we got Von Miller. That's not even a homer pick. That's just an incredible pick.
And the only guy would be an argument with this would be Khalil Mack.
Yep.
At edge.
And he's gone from the AFC West. So, but then you have Joey Bosa, and part of me, I mean, I want to make an argument for Bradley Chubb because you're looking at their rookie seasons, and Bradley Chubb was right there with Bosa when you're looking at some stats and what they were able to produce. And I think Bradley Chubb could really emerge this year.
Yeah.
I think the system sets up well. The coaches keep talking about this guy, giving him high praise. I mean, and part of it is just having Von Miller on the other side.
Yeah.
It just makes life so much easier for Bradley Chubb. And so I could see him having that 15 to 18 sack season and really putting his mark on the NFL this year. But, I mean, it is hard to argue Joey Bosa. When he's healthy, he wasn't healthy last year, and he still says he's not healthy right now. His foot is still giving him some problems. So we'll see how that kind of plays out of the injury side of things. But beyond that, when he is healthy, he is a force to be reckoned with.
And got to give a shout out to, like you mentioned earlier, but Frank Clark could end up being the second best edge rusher. I mean, that wouldn't be the most shocking thing, especially he's never played next to an interior pass rusher like Chris Jones. And he's going to play with a lot of leads as well, so he's going to be able to pin his ears back. And then Melvin Ingram, I mean, that game that he had last year against the Ravens, man, he almost destroyed Lamar Jackson's career in that game. So the edge rushing position in this division. Obviously Khalil Mack's gone, but man, talk about some game changers at edge.
It's true. You could almost make an argument that the backups, like a Bradley Chubb and Frank Clark being added to this group, would be still top 5 in the NFL.
I wouldn't disagree. I really wouldn't. It's really pretty darn special. And then, so moving on now, edge rusher, we went from the lowness of the interior defensive line to the great talent to the edge, not a linebacker. And this is probably another position, Carl, where you're like, really, you have those guys? But then going over the rosters, it's like, I guess so. Like, it's not great.
It's true.
Yeah, the linebacker position. I'll just name my three right here. I have Todd Davis, everyone's punching bag. Yes, Todd Davis listed here. Like, he was the Broncos' best linebacker last year. He has limitations, but he's good in his role. And against some of the others here, I mean, that's where else are you going to go? And then, not to be confusing, Todd Davis to Thomas Davis, the Los Angeles Chargers, older, definitely on the downside of his career, but again, linebacking for this division, the second level, the off-ball linebackers, hot trash, not great. And then my third linebacker, Darren Lee. Yes, Darren Lee, who was traded from the Jets because he was not great. So I saw a tweet that I think was Marcus Mosher, who's a Cowboys analyst, reporter, talking about doing an article on the AFC West and the linebacker position and how trash it is, and really rang true, because can you believe that Todd Davis, Thomas Davis, and Darren Lee, there's a legitimate argument for them to be the three best off-ball linebackers in this division.
Well, and you just mentioned the Cowboys. They have three linebackers on their team that would be first, second, third in the AFC West.
Yeah.
So not a good look there. Darren Lee is the one that I'm kind of like,
but the other options are trash.
I know.
Trash. Like, I didn't want to be a total homer to put Josie Jewell.
What?
I know.
No, I did think a little bit about Dorian O'Daniel.
Man, he was okay, but he's like probably the one that's going to get replaced.
I know.
By Lee. So, like,
well, yeah, and that's exactly right. I don't know which one's going to win, because O'Daniel, when he did finally start getting some snaps on defense, he did okay.
Yeah.
He was their best coverage linebacker on that team last year. I mean, that's not saying much when you got Reggie Ragland and Anthony Hitchens, but he was at least their best coverage linebacker. Yeah,
people get upset about Todd Davis in coverage. Go watch Reggie Ragland. Oh, my God. He'd have been great in the 70s, but, man, that dude that dude looks like he takes a massive amount of Viagra before every game. He's so damn stiff.
Yep. No, I mean, can we really talk about the linebackers without mentioning Vontaze Perfectus, though?
Not great. I mean, Brandon Marshall, Markel Lee. I mean, the linebacker is trash, man.
It is.
It's trash.
It really
Tavis
is.
Brown, Denzel Perryman, maybe an argument for him. But it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad. So I guess we should just not waste any more time on that. Do you disagree? Yep. I guess you doesn't look like it.
Not really. I mean, like I said, maybe I just don't know which one's going to win the job between Darren Lee and Dorian O'Daniel. Yeah. I mean, we've seen a little bit more of Lee, and he's had some really, really good moments, but he's had a lot of very average, below average play on the field as well. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying much. Again, it's a matter of trying to pick the less smelly piece of crap. Yeah. And hoping it works out on the field. I mean, this would be the absolute major weakness of an AFC West roster if you had to play any other division. Yeah. This is where teams would pick on you.
Yeah, not great. But then we get to the secondary, and I think it's much better here. We have no disagreements here, I think. That's what it looks like, at least. Casey Hayward for the Chargers, when he's healthy, he is really darn good. I guess you can make an argument for the emergence of Garyon Conley, but I think Hayward is just a safer product there to pick.
Yeah, that was the one player I almost added to the list here.
Yeah. Chris Harris Jr. should be unanimous. The best cornerback in the division, even though he is older, he's coming to a point where he's going to be at his end soon. But best cornerback in the division, in my opinion. The best safety in the division, Derwin James. Honestly, my money for the best safety in football after that rookie season. I don't even care.
I was about to say, man, I think even beyond the division, if he can play even at an inch better than what he did last year, I mean, he's on that path of, I hate to say this after 1 year, but he was just that special. I'm just looking at like that guy that just, you see a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, like if I had to pick one Hall of Fame player from last year's draft class, probably picking Derwin James. Just a different, like, it's crazy when somebody's just such a different athletic level than their peers in the NFL. You know, like when you see that in college, like, okay, that guy's going to be an NFL player because he's that level of different athlete. But to do that at the NFL level as well, I mean, it's jaw dropping.
Right. And then you add in, I mean, the guy is just so versatile.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard somebody say it that they should just make a position called Derwin James.
Yeah. And he fell to, what was 17th, 16th overall?
Yep.
God bless it. That's just so annoying. As long as if AJ Epinesa goes to the Raiders next year, I'm done. I can't do Chris Jones, Derwin James, and AJ Epinesa all in different division rivals. I just can't.
Yeah.
Just can't. I'll be too sad. Justin Simmons is the other safety. I'm surprised you went with this one, but again, you know, after Derwin James, there's an argument to be had. Almost put Kareem Jackson there, but I don't know where to put him, honestly, in that regard. And so Justin Simmons, maybe, I guess, probably Tyrann Mathieu, but really, I don't know. I think the Chiefs massively overpaid for him. I wasn't that big of a fan of him. And
I wasn't either. I mean, when I watched Kareem Jackson last year, you of course get to see a lot of Tyrone from the Texans, and he just never really stood out to me. There was a few plays here and there that he did, but it wasn't anything absolutely special. And then you look at the Raiders, LaMarcus Joyner. Yeah, he's okay. But he's also 5'8", 180 pounds.
Yeah.
You look at their other guy, Carl Joseph.
Yeah. He's
never lived up to the hype by any means. I mean, they've been looking to replace him for quite a while.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, it's more that high upside. I think Justin Simmons is in the right system for his type of play. I think he's going to have a big year this year. I think he's going to get himself a nice big contract at the safety position. We'll see if it's with the Broncos or with somebody else. But if I'm putting a team together, like I said, of just guys I think are going to have this kind of season, Justin Simmons deserves this spot.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the defensive back, the fifth guy that I wrote in here, Desmond King. I mean, really just a good player. How he fell to the fifth round is just stupid. And he's been one of the best. Not only is he a great defensive back, but a great punt returner as well. So been a really darn good player for them.
Yeah, hard to disagree with. I mean, he is one of your boys from Iowa.
Yeah.
But it's not really a homer pick because the guy just emerged as a great player for him. I mean, just kind of did a little bit of everything. This is where I could put Kareem Jackson.
I can't take him over Desmond King, though.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
But like I said, if there's a guy to have an argument with him, Kareem Jackson would be that guy for me.
That's fair. And I guess we should do kicker and punter. We don't have it written down, but we should. They matter. It's not as fun to talk about, but they matter. I think the punter, it should be unanimous. It should be Dustin Colquitt.
Yep.
Like one of the best in the game. And then kicker, honestly, it might be Brandon McManus. Like I could maybe Daniel Carlson for the Raiders, but I'm not taking Michael Bagley from the Chargers, and I'm not taking Harrison Butker from the Chiefs. Carlson's been pretty good. He's got a pretty good leg. So, but a street free agent. So honestly, just let me be a homer for second McManus. And then I'll even double down on the homerism. Casey Kreider, long snapper. Boom. There you go.
Well, I mean, he's never really messed up a snap for the Broncos.
Pro Bowl. Hashtag Pro Bowl. Also hashtag Go Hawks.
There you go.
So, all right.
But no, I mean, I'm with you on McManus. I mean, you got to give the guy who helped win a Super Bowl was absolute just money when they needed it that season. And so I got to take him over anybody else right now.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, one more break here. We're going to be back to talk a little bit more Bronco-centric with this, but got to tip our cap to the advertisers.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
All righty, and we are back on the Building the Broncos podcast. I'm Nick along with Carl, and going to wrap it up here pretty soon, but Carl, I got to ask, any Broncos, we talked about our first team, AFC West, any Broncos here that didn't make the team that you think have a real chance to potentially emerge and be a first team All AFC West level player?
Drew Lock.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, like he could be good, but like Patrick Mahomes.
Right. No, I'm not quite there. But no, I mean, it's Bradley Chubb is one of those guys that really could pass Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
And like I said, he could really have an amazing year this year.
He's got to hold off Clark and Ingram as well at the same time. But he could. Like, it just – right. It's tough.
But, that's just saying something of how great that group is and how much Bradley Chubb could really emerge when the Broncos could have 2 of the top 5 pass rushers in all of football on their roster. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen very often. That's pretty crazy. No, realistically, a guy that I could see maybe emerging onto this list, Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I do think he could have a breakout year. Antonio Brown, we'll see what he can do this year. I could see him easily falling off this list. Tyreek Hill, we'll just even see if he plays this year, so maybe he's not on this list.
Keenan Allen's always hurt.
Yeah, he's always hurt, so we'll just see again. And plus, I mean, you already said it. How many more years does Phillip Rivers have?
Yeah.
So how good of a receiver is Keenan Allen without Phillip Rivers? It's such a they depend on each other.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've seen with the Broncos for a lot of years here. Like, you saw the numbers of Demaryius Thomas and even Manuel Sanders. They fell off once Peyton Manning left.
Yeah.
They can't be the same player. And so, I mean, those are the guys that make sense for me. Any other spots for you?
I would say that Kareem Jackson has a chance to make it. I mean, that other safety spot, maybe Kareem Jackson plays better than Justin Simmons and he can emerge there. Maybe plays better than Desmond King even. So that's one that I think has a chance. And I think any of the interior defensive linemen, really. I mean, Zach Kerr's been pretty good at nose tackle. Apparently he's been eaten up well. And Adam Gotsis, maybe he emerges with some pass rush moves. Maybe Derek Wolfe, he said that he felt like he was made for this defense and feels rejuvenated. So that's another one. And then I guess Noah Fant, right? Like we were talking about, maybe Hunter Henry is somewhat limited. Maybe they have too many offensive mouths to feed with the pass game at the wide receiver position. And I mean, Fant is a first-round tight end, so they're going to have to get him involved somehow. So those would be the ones that I think make the most sense, that have a chance to emerge as first team All AFC West. But who knows?
Yeah. I mean, all good names there. I mean, Hunter Henry, his best season was 45 catches, 579 yards. And then last year he did have more touchdowns, but less yards. Or 2 years ago. Sorry, yeah, 2 years ago.
Stephen A. Smith.
Oh my goodness.
Hunter Henry's going to be a difference maker. Everyone, what the hell?
Oh my goodness. That's like the biggest insult in sports.
for football analysis.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, he's been good, but he hasn't been elite by any means. And Noah Fant really has that chance to be elite. So if you see him go out there, catch 8 to 10 touchdowns this year, yeah, Noah Fant deserves to be on that list next season.
And anybody Bronco-wise on this list that you could see falling off?
Well, I mean, Chris Harris might not even be in the AFC West next year.
Yeah.
So that one makes sense. Justin Simmons, again, could not be with the Broncos, but also he's just – you talked about it last year where you thought this is the guy that's really going to emerge this season, and he didn't. And here we are again saying Justin Simmons, he's going to be that guy that really could emerge, and we'll just see if he can actually live up to the hype. He's just not quite lived up to the hype this year. And so I could see that one. Todd Davis, again, I mean, it doesn't take much to push any of these guys from the linebacker group off this list. I mean, but if you were ranking these three, Todd Davis, Thomas Davis, and Darren Lee, what would be your order? I mean, Darren Lee's at the bottom, but do you have Thomas Davis above Todd Davis?
Ah, man, don't make me do this.
That's a tough conversation, though. I mean, Thomas Davis 3-5 years ago obviously is way above him. But there's a reason that the Panthers were willing to let this guy go.
And it could be Denzel Perryman is the best one. You know, he's got – when you can play linebacker with all those guys around you on the Chargers defense, you got a pretty good situation. Maybe Brandon Marshall stays healthy, you know.
Yeah.
It's not great. Not great, Bob, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. All right, well, that's going to wrap up today's episode of Building the Broncos, powered by Overtime Media. You can find Carl on Twitter at Carl Dumler MHH and myself at Kendell and MHH. Also, make sure you head on over to Mile High Huddle, an affiliate of 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports Digital, to find more content covering the Denver Broncos. Head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and comment, as your support can help us continue to bring our Denver Bronco deep dives. You can follow the Building the Broncos podcast and all our other great audio content by subscribing to the Huddle Up podcast wherever you listen to your shows. You can follow us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle and at BTB Football Pod. For Carl, I'm Nick, wrapping up another episode of the Building the Broncos podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and I guess I won't see you guys next week, so you'll get Carl, and maybe I'll have a guest, so we'll see. But we'll see you guys soon. Go Broncos.
You've been listening to Building the Broncos. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.